I saw her on a TV show, and I had never seen her before, and I said, that's it.
It all started at a small but exclusive film retrospective held at the Telluride Film Festival, where Robert Redford made a rare public appearance. Now, well into his 80s, the Hollywood icon had largely retreated from public life, maintaining his usual air of mystery and quiet dignity. But on that night, something changed. What began as a seemingly nostalgic evening celebrating his decades-long career took a hard, unexpected turn. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Seated in a fireside-style chat moderated by critic Leonard Maltin, Redford initially spoke fondly about his collaborations with Paul Newman, his passion for environmental activism, and the founding of the Sundance Institute. The room was full of fellow actors, directors, and journalists, most expecting a polished evening of polite reminiscence. But halfway through the conversation, the tone shifted. Maltin asked Redford about the changing nature of Hollywood and the actors he admired, or didn't. That's when Redford leaned in, folded his hands, and with an air of wearied conviction, named 6 actors he said he hates. The room fell silent. Redford, known for being reserved, had never before gone on record with this kind of unvarnished candor. The names dropped like bombs. Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Cruise, Shia LaBeouf, Jeremy Renner, Jared Leto, and in a move that surprised even the most cynical attendees, Christian Bale. Redford didn't embellish the names with anecdotes or trash talk. He simply said he had his reasons, and that he found their approach to acting, or perhaps to the business itself, fundamentally antithetical to what he valued. It wasn't a drunken outburst or a comedic roast. It was quiet, deliberate, and tinged with a disappointment that ran deeper than mere personal conflict. To understand why these particular names might have raised Redford's ire, it helps to remember the kind of career Redford carved out. He wasn't just a matinee idol or a box office draw. From Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid to All the President's Men to The Natural, he was a purveyor of subtlety, restraint, and moral complexity. Even in films where his character was deeply flawed, like in 3 Days of the Condor or Out of Africa, Redford anchored his performances in quiet strength and introspective depth. His disdain then seems directed at a style or attitude he finds abrasive or disingenuous. Leonardo DiCaprio being on the list came as a shock to many. Often celebrated as one of the greatest actors of his generation, DiCaprio has worked with directors like Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino. But to Redford, DiCaprio perhaps embodies a different Hollywood, one of overexposure, relentless ambition, and a performative intensity that might seem at odds with Redford's more contemplative approach. It's possible Redford sees in DiCaprio a kind of theatrical self-awareness that undermines authenticity. Maybe it's not even personal, but symbolic. Then there's Tom Cruise, a name that has divided audiences for decades. Cruise's tireless pursuit of blockbuster perfection, his daredevil stunts, and tightly engineered public persona may be what unsettles Redford. To an actor-director who championed indie cinema and founded a festival to nurture emerging voices, Cruise might seem like the ultimate avatar of corporate Hollywood. There's a sense that Redford sees Cruise as a kind of cinematic machine, impressive but soulless. Shia LaBeouf's inclusion made more immediate sense to some. With a career marred by legal troubles, erratic behavior, and accusations of abuse, LaBeouf's volatility could easily alienate someone of Redford's generation. They once crossed paths on the indie drama The Company You Keep, directed by Redford himself. Rumors from that set have long hinted at friction, with whispers that Redford found LaBeouf disrespectful and difficult to direct. If those whispers are true, naming him now as the culmination of years of private grievance finally aired. Jeremy Renner, best known for his roles in The Hurt Locker and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, might seem like an odd inclusion. He's a quieter presence in Hollywood, but perhaps that's precisely the problem. Redford worked with Renner on The Avengers, and it's possible he found him lacking in depth or seriousness, particularly on a set so far removed from the kind of character-driven work Redford reveres. Redford once described his role in The Winter Soldier as a way to reach a younger audience, but it's easy to imagine he felt like a visitor in a world that valued spectacle over substance. Jared Leto is another curious case. Acclaimed for his commitment to roles, Leto is also notorious for taking method acting to extremes, especially during his time as the Joker in Suicide Squad. Redford, with his roots in classical acting and an ethos that values quiet authenticity over grandstanding, may view Leto's antics as theatrical narcissism. There's a line between immersive performance and showboating, and it's possible Redford believes Leto crossed it a long time ago. Christian Bale, perhaps the most unexpected name on the list, has long been celebrated for his transformative performances. He loses and gains weight at alarming speeds, buries himself in accents and mannerisms, and disappears into roles with obsessive precision. But maybe Redford sees Bale's transformations not as artistry but as indulgence, a kind of acting that prioritizes physical extremes over emotional truth. That, or perhaps there's an unseen encounter or philosophical rift that informed Redford's view. What makes the revelation so striking is not just who he named, but how he said it. There was no gleeful savagery in his tone, no tabloid flair. He sounded like someone who had been holding these thoughts for years, someone who saw the industry he helped shape evolve into something he barely recognized. The attendees weren't just stunned by the names, they were unnerved by the fact that Robert Redford, long a beacon of grace and discretion, finally felt compelled to say them out loud. Within hours, the story had escaped the confines of the theater and spread across social media like wildfire. Clips of the moment, shaky and grainy, were shared on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Fans and critics alike dissected every syllable and facial twitch. Was this a carefully orchestrated moment of truth-telling, or a lapse in judgment from a man who no longer cared about diplomacy? Film historians scrambled to contextualize the statement, digging into Redford's past interviews, casting decisions, and festival selections. Every omission and inclusion in Sundance's history suddenly took on new meaning. Was DiCaprio never honored because of a long-standing rift? Did Redford's brief flirtation with Marvel reflect a deeper disdain for its key players? The industry, always hypersensitive to opinion from its titans, reacted with a mix of caution and curiosity. Agents went into damage control mode, issuing non-statements and downplaying the moment. Publicists scrambled to spin, while some actors remained conspicuously silent. A few fans of the named stars lashed out at Redford online, calling him out of touch or bitter. Others rallied to his defense, praising his honesty and lamenting the current state of celebrity culture. What lingered was the gravity of it all. In an age when most stars toe the line, say the safe thing, and avoid controversy like the plague, Redford broke ranks. And it wasn't a scandal. It wasn't a revelation of crime or misconduct. It was an artistic judgment, raw and unfiltered, from a man who has seen Hollywood from the inside out. This wasn't about gossip. It was about values. About a veteran artist's sense of betrayal by an industry that had shifted from storytelling to spectacle, from nuance to noise. Redford's words felt like a requiem for a Hollywood he once loved, and a rebuke to those he believed had turned it into something else entirely. In that quiet room in Telluride, amidst the mountain air and rustic grandeur, Robert Redford offered something more powerful than platitudes, a moment of unvarnished truth. And whether one agrees with his choices or not, the courage to speak them aloud, without spin, without agenda, was unforgettable. For many, this moment crystallized an underlying frustration that had been simmering across the industry. While younger actors and directors have long celebrated the freedom to create on their own terms, Redford's sharp distinctions drew a line in the sand. He wasn't merely airing personal grudges. He was pointing out a cultural rupture, one defined by speed over contemplation, spectacle over story, and marketing over meaning. The crowd, hushed and solemn, wasn't reacting to mere name-dropping, but to the implications behind it. A generational clash had surfaced without warning, and suddenly, people were speaking in hushed tones about what this might mean for Redford's legacy, and for theirs. It was a moment where reverence met reality, where the warm glow of a celebrated career gave way to the harsher spotlight of unfiltered critique. Redford had become, in his own way, a symbol of a fading ethos, one rooted in authenticity, craft, and patience. His statement, devoid of theatrics or sensationalism, was more than a personal rebuke. It was a challenge, maybe even a plea, to reconsider what kind of performances, what kind of artists we uplift. In the quiet aftershock of those 6 names, the audience at Telluride wasn't just rethinking their favorite actors. They were, perhaps, rethinking Hollywood itself. Whether or not others in the industry choose to echo Redford's views, that night at Telluride carved itself into film history. Not for the scandal, but for the confrontation. One man, unafraid to show the weathering of decades, simply told the truth as he saw it. And in doing so, he asked everyone else to decide whether they still recognize the face of cinema they once believed in. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, which actor's name shocked you most? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.